I've made almost $2 million in my coaching business, and out of all of the content I've ever posted, there are three types of content that when I post them are guaranteed to generate me leads and clients every single time. In this video, I'm going to break down those three types of content, and I'm going to give you the script for each of them so then you can plug and play them directly into your coaching business. So to begin with, I'm going to walk you through the overall principles and strategy of the content first before I get to the actual content scripts themselves. The challenge you find is that most people with content, they're kind of posting blind, right? They're posting in a way where there's no real clear process. There's no angle that they have that, is guaranteed to always work for them. They might have somewhat of a strategy. They have maybe content pillars they follow and so on, but that's pretty much it. And typically most content strategies have followed the traditional ANC strategy. It's called many different things, right? But people tend to have attract style content that's designed to grow your audience. You have nurture content that's designed to warm up your audience and then buy from you. Then you have convert content, which then turns the audience from followers into leads and clients. And that's all well and good. And maybe it used to work 2-3 years ago. But to be honest, nowadays, with the sophistication of the coaching industry and the people we're selling to, it doesn't quite work, right? Not as well as it could do anyway. And so instead, I categorize my content beyond just content pillars. I categorize it into four different types of content, or the four S's, as I call it. First, you have solve content. Now, solve content is content that gives a solution directly in the piece of content, right? So that is your how-to content. It's your tutorials. It's your step-by-steps. It's your quick tips and quick hacks and whatever it might be. Solve content provides a solution to a problem directly in that piece of content. Then you have share content. Now, share content is where you're sharing more about you as a person, your lifestyle, your beliefs, your hobbies, your opinions on the industry, your opinions on your niche. It might be down to live content, behind the scenes. You might talk about your failures. You might talk about experiences you've had, your relationships, and so on and so forth. Again, share content is all about you and the person behind the coaching business. Then we have sell content. Sell content is typically it's around kind of problem awareness. You're doing case studies, testimonials, client wins. You're going to have your own transformation you're sharing. You'll share about your methods and your mechanisms and how they're different and how they help people. Sell content really is just defined by the fact that the call to action at the end is driving people towards working with you, is driving people towards reaching out to ask for your help. The final content is then supply content as a final S. And supply content can be the same as all the other content, but again, the only difference is with supply content, at the end of it, you're providing an asset rather than providing a solution in the post itself, right? So you provide an asset like a lead magnet, you provide an asset, some kind of freebie, whether it's a free Q&A or it's a webinar, whether it's a downloadable or templates. Again, doesn't really matter what it is, but supply content is you are providing an asset at the end of that post. So those four S's are how I categorize my content beyond just the content pillars I use. And so that's first and foremost to kind of go through that. The second is to understand really just a handful of principles that I follow when I'm making my content, because that changes how I write the content. It doesn't necessarily change what I post, but it changes how I post it and how I create it. And that has a big impact on the lead flow and the quality of leads that then come through as a result. So three main principles I want to just quickly share. The first is the transition from going from value content to shift. Now, value content is solve content on its own. Value content is you're given a solution in the post. And again, that used to work very much a year, 2 years ago to get growth, go viral, and get leads. But today, there is so much saturation in terms of everyone's posting value content. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have ChatGPT. There is not a lack of information. There is not a lack of, strategy and actually how to and tutorials. There's not a lack of it. There is an abundance. There is an oversaturation of it. And so people don't need more value to want to buy from you. There's enough value out there, right? If value was the only reason people bought, we'd all be probably millionaires, right? That's just reality. But it's not. People buy when they have a shift in how they think, in how they look at things. And that's what a shift is all about. Creating content that can take someone from thinking a certain way and looking at a certain problem and thinking that's the problem, to then be able to shift their beliefs to understand that that's not the problem, that this is the problem, and they need to fix it in a certain way, that being your way, That's creating a shift. And the shift is what pushes people to take action, because you don't take action with no emotion, right? There's always emotion that backs. There's an emotion that then creates a reaction, and a reaction being to reach out. The shift is what creates the emotion, and the emotion is what creates the reaction to reach out to you. So that's why shift content typically always works better to generate leads, and higher quality leads, than value content. Okay. Number 2 is the idea of ideas and identity. And you want to share both. What I mean by that? Well, ideas are the ideas and the things that you believe in, right? In terms of your industry and your offer and how you do things, perhaps how you do things differently to people. So for example, for me, one of my big ideas is just having one offer, right? And so I talk about that a lot in my content. I make people very aware that I believe in one offer. When it comes to doing have one offer or multiple offers, I am very much in the one offer camp, right? And so I make people aware of that. That's an idea that I believe in. The other ideas might be simplicity. Another idea might be, profit margins being above 90%, being able to work less than 4 hours a day, right? These are all ideas. And the whole point of ideas is they link very much to identity. Identity is the person you are helping people to become. And whether you're selling a make money offer, a get healthy offer, relationships offer, whatever it might be, you don't realize, but you are also selling an identity, not just an outcome, right? The outcome might be you're helping them to make 10K a month, but what identity are you helping them to become? And that's something that a lot of people miss out on in their marketing, is actually getting clear on what is the identity you're helping people to become, and how do you communicate that? How do you actually package that into this sort of alter ego that you can actually then promote and market towards that? And so for me, it's the Synthesize Coach. I am helping to help people to become the Synthesize Coach. My program is called the Synthesize Coach Blueprint, right? And so the goal in my program is not to just make money. It's not to just scale your coaching business. It's to become an identity, and that identity being Synthesize Coach. And that's a way you can differentiate yourself. Again, we are stuck in just an industry now and a landscape where everyone has big promises, everyone has big claims, everyone's teaching similar methods and strategies. Again, how do you differentiate? Well, it's ideas and identity is one way in which you do that. Final principle, before I get to the actual content examples, is macro versus micro. And now the whole point of this is that most of us, when we create content, we tend to talk too big, we talk too broad, because we think that it's the big claims and the big topics and the big outcomes that people care about, and that's what's going to get them to buy, when in fact it tends to be the opposite. For example, macro for me would be how to build a 7-figure coaching business, right? Just as an example of a hook. That would be a macro hook or a macro topic. Micro would be how to prevent people from ghosting you when you send them your offer doc, right? So it's like you're taking like a very big topic and you're just finding a very small topics within that, and you make content around that instead. And the reason we do that is because people don't buy to solve future problems, they buy to solve now problems, right? Making 7 figures, whatever, that's a goal, that's a problem someone wants to solve or to achieve in the future, of course, and it's a priority. But for right now, if their struggle is, well, they're sending messages and they're being ghosted, or their content isn't being seen by people, they know they have to solve that problem first before they go and solve anything else. And so with that, that's making sure that your content speaks to now problems and not just future problems. Again, a mix of both is good, but primarily now problems, the micro, rather than the macro. And so that's to give you a bit of context on how I think about content. But otherwise, let's jump into my computer and we can have a look at the different content ideas, the free content ideas that work the best for me. And so this document here, very simple document, but I am going to give you access to this document down below. So in the description down below, there'll be a link, just a Google Doc link. Just click on that, no email required. You can copy it straight into your browser and use it immediately, okay? So first and foremost, the first content script or the first content idea is us versus them. So I'll give you an example, and there's 3 examples, but I'll show you one of them first. But us versus them. Now this also links back to the ideas and identity component I just mentioned earlier. So us versus them. You need to figure out, in terms of what it is you sell, who is the enemy, right? Who is the enemy, or what is the old way of doing something, or what is, in your eyes, the wrong way of doing something. Your content needs to throw rocks. Your content needs to position itself against that, against the way that you don't teach. So again, so my example is coaches versus synthesized coaches. And in terms of the offer, well, regular coaches, they price a client, they use multiple offers, they get burned out, so on and so forth. But synthesized coaches, what do? We price a problem. We have one offer, but we sell it many ways. We enjoy having one-to-one clients. We sell ideas and proximity rather than time and products. We have a niche of one rather than trying to fit into a niche, right? And so very clearly, I'm positioning myself and how I do things against how, against the industry standard or against how my competitors might do it instead. And this is not saying you're right and they're wrong. This is just simply saying, I have a different path. I have a different method, a different way to get to the outcome you want. And us versus them is very powerful in doing that. Another example for you, a reel, so this reel, same again, 7-figure coaching business, what you think matters versus what actually matters. Now, I don't believe you need more traffic. I think you need more resonance. But someone else might believe you just need more traffic, right? Rather than more resonance. Again, it's not a right or wrong. It's beliefs, it's ideas, it's, again, linked to identity. All of these things paint a much better picture of you as a creator, you as a coach and a business owner, and you attract people who align with the same ideas. And when you're attracting people based on alignment rather than qualification, that's when you get the better leads, the better clients, the soulmate clients, as I call them, the people willing to pay the most, who stay the longest as well, and just the best to work with. It's when you can attract based on alignment, not just qualification. Final example here of us versus them is a kind of different way of doing it. But again, I don't believe in free workshops. So hook is stop hosting free workshops. And again, you can see how that's more of a micro topic rather than it's macro. So stop hosting free workshops. Then I explain context, about the workshops. So I've done free workshops compared to paid workshops. And again, this is just all ideas, right? I talk about an impulse offer, which is a method and mechanism that I use and that I teach. So that's another idea that I'm sharing. And then this statement: free things attract freebie seekers, paid things attract buyers. Again, it's ideas. This is an identity post, right? I'm sharing with people how I think and how I do things differently compared to other people in the same space. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's just, this is my way compared to other ways. So moving on, that's us versus them. Case studies. You're probably thinking, I already do case studies. Good. If you do them already, great. If you don't, do more of them. The more case studies you post, the more clients you're going to get. That's guaranteed. Now, a case study doesn't always have to be, again, big outcomes. Doesn't always have to be, someone's crazy win. They've made $1 million or whatever. It can be smaller outcomes as well. But importantly, it's the context you share in those case studies that makes the difference. I'll give an example. So Roberto is one of our students. It's kind of like a part-time coach, mum as well. And so in this post, I give the context on that. I explain all the details about her situation, what makes her situation quite unique compared to most people, what was happening before, what was happening after. But again, importantly, I don't just explain the step-by-step of what we did, right? I could do that, and that does work. But again, I explain the ideas behind the changes we made. So I don't just say, we made content to humanize her. I say, no, well, the idea behind this is people buy coaches, not coaching. And so that's why we made the switch we did in her content, right? Likewise, the same with Collecting Over Create. I didn't just say, step 2, we built a content system where, she can collect the work she's already doing. No, I made it clear that Collect Over Create is the idea, and here's the theory behind it, right? Or here's why this actually works. Because she is an expert already. She doesn't need to be a content creator. She's an expert in what she does. Her best content is simply then just collecting the work she's already doing, rather than trying to be a content creator, which is what she's trying to do before. And that repeats, right? For all of those ideas, that repeats. And obviously I then show her results off the back of those ideas. So that's a great example of a case study. Now I have here as well the actual kind of framework and script you can follow. It's pretty simple for that one as well. And then another example here you can look at. I won't go through this one, but just you'll be able to see it's pretty much the same structure in terms of how it's delivered. And this works extremely well with a call to action for your program at the end of it. Final script, final content is what I call a vision. Now, what you're teaching likely is something you've done or you've achieved, or it's something that you're still doing, but you're at a higher level than than the people you're teaching, right? So for example, if I'm teaching people to get to 50,000 per month, right? For me, I've already done that. I've been beyond that, but I'm still building a coaching business, right? I'm still actually practicing what I'm preaching. And so the vision is basically sharing with people, how are you and what are you doing to get to your goal, to get to your next level that the people you're selling to also are aspiring to get to at some point in the future. So the vision is really getting clear on what are the methods, what is the pathway, the ideas, everything. How are you doing things differently compared to how other people do? And so my example here, I explained how I'd hit 100K months last year, but it wasn't in recurring income. It was just sort of paying falls and at one-time payments. I had a team at the time and profit margin was a bit lower than what it is now and other things. And my goal now is to hit recurring 100K months. So every month I start off with that, guaranteed to come in. And so for me, as I explained, it's not just about getting back to that number. It's how I get there is actually much more important. And for who I'm selling to and for people who I work with, most likely, you don't just care about getting to a goal. You care very deeply about how you get to the goal, right? You don't want to have to hire a massive team. You don't want to have to run thousands of dollars of ads all the time. You don't want to have complex funnels, so on and so forth. You want to keep things simple. You want to keep things lean. You want to keep things high profit. You want to do things with ease. You want to do things where you actually enjoy it. And that's the point here, is that you're just positioning how you do things, the methods, the pathway, the ideas behind it, and you're putting that into a vision you have for yourself that other people can hop in and join that journey and join that vision as well. And this works for multiple reasons, but what can work very well is then when you're giving updates on that vision and you're explaining to people, so for me, 5th of September, I explained that my goal, my vision was this. Now we're in November, December, January. Now I'm here. This is the update. This is what's working, this is what's not working. And it creates a real sense of leadership as well. It's like when people are buying into a coach, they're looking for a leader, looking for someone who is practicing what they preach, someone who is willing to experiment, to put themselves out there. And that's what a vision post can do for you. So how that applies to your niche, to your industry, you'll have to figure that out for yourself. Of course, if you're not sure and you want to ask some questions, by all means, feel free to put them in the comments down below. Or again, you can obviously message me on Instagram. Happy either way, whatever works best for you. But otherwise, like I said, this document with the examples and with those kind of scripts that you can copy and paste, they are going to be in the description. Just click on the link, no email required. You'll be able to copy and paste that straight away into your desktop. But other than that, hope you found the video useful, and I will see you in the next one.